Good day, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It's a little bit rainy here in my city where I live, but yet it's still been an overall great day. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today's topic's going to be baby boomers. It's on baby boomers specifically. Baby boomers and the reality of the future markets. Let me tell you a story. I'll say that again. Baby boomers and the reality of the future markets. Let me tell you a story. Well, for some of you that know me, I've been in the finance industry for 17 years, and I really didn't know what a baby boomer was until approximately 17 years ago when I got into this industry. And they talked about the age wave and the age wave of the baby boomers as they continue to age and require needs within our social system, needs off the market because of the fact they're retiring, et cetera, et cetera. Today I looked up the numbers, and obviously the numbers are declining because the oldest 80 baby boomers today are 74 years of age. They've turned that this year because they claim that the baby boom was between 1946 to 1964 in the US. Canada is similar. They actually go to about approximately 65. So from about 1946 to 1964, the baby boom occurred. Hey, Gina. And most people, the baby boom affected our lives. Well, I'm going to not get too in-depth today. Feel free to DM me or drop me a comment. We can always get onto a call. I do teach people about this. But back when I got on to the finance business back 17 years ago, the baby boom was a huge deal. It was talked about all the time. It's still a huge deal today. Part of me actually, the millennial generation has actually surpassed the baby boom generation in North America, not just the US and Canada as well. The reason being for that is deaths, right? Just like they always say, death and taxes are something that you can count on. Today in the world, the baby boom generation affects not just our continent, it affects other people in the world as well. But here's how it affects us directly. Realizing that today, if you have approximately 100 million baby boomers from the time of 1946 to 1964 in the US, and in Canada it was over 10 million. What happens when your population is only 300 million in the US and Canada is approximately 30 million? Back in the day, obviously, when I started in this industry, the numbers have changed. Canada's population now, I actually just looked it up, is over 38 million people. In the US, it's over 328 million. But back at the day when I got in this industry, using the numbers of 100 million and 10 million was pretty accurate. The US is approximately 10 times our population. The baby boomer generation is a generation of people that are in massive droves been retiring since approximately 2012. And now today, fast forward it, those retirees are now 74 years of age this year. And unfortunately, they're starting to die off. So obviously those numbers are declining. But realizing that the baby boomers back in the day and age of when they were at their strongest, right, when there were over 100 million people, were taxpayers, huge taxpayers, right? So back then, so think about the day and age of, in the last 17 years, there were 3 taxpayers for every one person that was grabbing money off of the system, meaning through, social assistance, or there was somebody, pardon me, not necessarily social assistance, but, grabbing government pension, taking money off of the markets. The list goes on, right? So you got 3 people paying taxes. Social systems only got 1 taking off of it or needing support off of it, where that could also be people that are getting money off of, social assistance, off of welfare, whatever you want to call it, food stamp systems. It's gone on for generations, right? And it's going to continue to go on a generation. The problem that I have and that I'm concerned about is that baby boomers continue to age and continue to retire, and they take money off the markets and they take money off of the social system for the ones that don't have money to take out of the markets to retire. What do you do? Well, all of a sudden, you have also another problem that's going on. A burdening problem in North America is the lack of births, the lack of babies being born, right? So let's put that into perspective. If you are a couple or you're not a couple, whatever, let's say there's two people that it takes two people to bring a baby into the world. You bring one baby into the world. You're both taxpayers. You bring one baby into the world to replace you. All of a sudden, you really haven't replaced yourself in the tax social system. What do I mean by that? Well, two people, one person, right? You don't replace yourself in the tax structure. You have two adults, two kids, you replaced yourself. You're a person like me that has 5 kids. Well, I've more than replaced myself in the tax structure system. So when you have times, yes, there's lots of people in the millennials and the generation after that, but the biggest portion of the population that's going to pay taxes, which is considered 0 to 15 right now, so basically kids born to 15 years of age that are going to replace taxpayers, is not as great as the amount of people that are going to take off the tax system, right? So you move forward through the age wave, we're going to have a huge problem with people not being able to, support the tax structure. Now you fast forward to COVID and you look at all the tax money that's being given away that hasn't even been collected yet. You're giving away tax money for generations that haven't even been born yet. And then, the generations coming up and the generations after the baby boomers had less kids, right? So if you have less kids paying into a tax system, and it's really easy to understand. Just look at your own family. If you're somebody that's had no kids, you haven't replaced yourself in the tax structure. You have 2 kids and there's 2 people that brought that kid into the world, those kids, you've replaced yourself in the tax structure. At least you've broken even. Right? Have more than those 2, you contribute to the tax system. Now back to the baby boomers, when you have a massive wave of baby boomers going through the population of 100 million people in the US, 10 million in Canada. Again, those numbers have declined now because of deaths. In the US, it's gone down to about 80 million. In Canada, it's approximately gone down to, I wrote it down here. It's approximately, I think it was 9 million now. It's gone down by deaths. But regardless of that, when you have more people taking off than putting in, if you can see the problem that we're going to have in 2032, by 2032 approximately in Canada specifically, because this is the country I'm from, and the US too, it's forecasted that we're going to go all of a sudden, remember when I said 3 to 1, right? All of a sudden now you're going to go the opposite. You're going to have 3 people taking off the social system or taking out of the system itself, right? And you're going to have 1 person paying taxes. If we don't do something and people don't start having more children, right, we're not going to replace ourselves and we're going to have a huge burden on our markets. So the market stability itself over the next 10, 15 years isn't going to just matter about the fact of whether or not companies are doing well. It's going to be the fact that people are retiring and those that have been investing in the markets are going to start drawing off income, right? And as you draw off income and their investments go down, what happens to the markets? You got to hope that more people are putting money in. Well, it's the same as a tax system. If you have less people paying taxes over the next 15, 20 years, and you have less people paying putting money into the markets, what's going to happen to our overall economy? The only place that it can happen to our economy, especially with all these times where so much tax money is being given out in this social system, right, to try to protect people from that have lost jobs, protect their businesses, et cetera, et cetera. All it's going to do is amplify all the problems that are going to be created and are already being created by the baby boom generation, right? And again, I'm not against the baby boom generation. I'm right behind the baby boom generation, being born in 1967. We're called the X generation. We are the 3rd greatest population that's going through time. Again, the only reason the millennials have caught up and surpassed the baby boomers is because of massive loss of life, right? Since 2012, when the first baby boomers turn 65, right? So I hope this makes sense. I have a big concern of what's going to happen because of the baby boomers, but that concern has been amplified now because of the trillions of dollars that are being given out around the world today in the US, the billions of dollars in Canada that are being given out. We literally are spending our children's future. Our children's are never going to be able to pay off this debt because it's just simple math. Tax out, social system money out, right? Retirement money out. All of a sudden it affects the fact you don't have as many taxpayers paying in. You have more former taxpayers because now they're paying very little tax. If, obviously seniors pay tax too because it's unearned income when it's coming off of a pension, or if they're bringing money out of the markets, depending on how it's coming out, it's taxed, but it's not taxed as much as working income. So working income throws a lot of tax into our systems. All of a sudden that's down and you have more people drawing off it, or now you have generations that are happening right now that are spending our children's future. And then you, on top of all of that, look at what's going on, as I mentioned, with the fact of the baby boomers taking money out of the market. It's going to affect the US and Canada, probably affect a lot more people around the world than we realize. But I'm worried more obviously about the US and Canada because the US is our neighbors, and they're directly affected by some of what we do, but we're hugely directed and affected by what they do as well. So anyway, if you have any comments and questions, hey Philip, how's it going? Hey Mark, hey Owen. Just realizing, hey Billy, the baby boomers are, great generation population, the X generation, the millennials, but it's all just numbers, money in, money out. You have a lot of problems that we have to worry about. And one of them is the fact of massive exodus of people retiring, right? And then not enough people to replace the amount of taxes they used to put into a system. And then the amount of taxes that are being spent, that money is fictional, doesn't exist, that our countries in both the US and Canada are spending in droves to support and help people. Am I saying we shouldn't support and help people? I'm saying no, we have a huge problem on our hands if we don't get things under control. We don't learn to figure things out without just handing out our generations that haven't even been born yet, the ones that are currently young that are born, that aren't going to be able to pay the tax burden that's being created right now. Things have to stop. We need to get our economies back in order. We need to get things fired up. We need to stop spending so much money that's not even ours to spend, right? It makes me sick. It makes me very, very sad. So on top of all the problems of the baby boom wave coming through and not enough people at the back end of the wave to support the tax structure, then we got everything that's gone on with COVID. And all the money that's being spent, like drunken sailors going into a bar saying, the guy's got hardly any money, can't pay his rent, and he buys around for everybody on the house, and then some, spends even more than he has, right? He puts it on credit card, whatever the case may be. Well, our system can't handle that anymore in our world. We need to smarten up, realize that we have to do things a lot more intelligently, and it needs to start now. You need to speak up. You need to let yourself be heard. We need to get our economy back up and running right freaking now. And it's not that I'm not concerned about people with health issues. Segregate them. Figure it out. Come on, politicians. Come on, corporations. Let's get down to brass tacks and get things back running again. Because at this current level of spending and current things that are going on, we're a giant freaking train wreck, right? Literally, you're a giant freaking train wreck. Because if you believe anything of what I'm telling you, and you can Google yourself, Google baby boomers, you can see the charts and the declining numbers. You can see the declining tax base it's going to create in our two countries and around the world. How can we continue to do this to ourselves, right? On top of all that, COVID's just going to magnify and amplify the pain that we're going to go through over the next 15 to 20 years. If you haven't started saving for your future or getting your debts under control, etc., start today, start now. I can help you out with a lot of different things. And if you actually DM me and reach out to me, I will teach you how to budget. I will teach you how to save for your future. I don't care where you're located. I can give you enough general information to change your life, to get grasp and get control of it. Because living life on purpose instead of by accident, if we had all of North America doing that, unbelievable the changes and differences that would have happened. But it's never too late to start. God bless. Peace out. I appreciate you all listening. Hey, Dante, drop me a comment below. Ask questions. DM me. Share this if you think it's helpful. Love you all. Have a great night.